This week on Bad Brackets, it's time to play some basketball. Well, happy Monday, and it is Monday, which means it's another episode of Bad Brackets. It is getting... I didn't need to look at the date for when this actually comes out. It's close to, or it has just started the NBA Finals. One of the two. We just started the conference finals as we got ready to record this. Just to show you how early things are here. But we will celebrate the NBA Finals by looking at the best individual NBA Finals performances. These go for just a single game, not for a full series. So one game, one player. Who had the best performances? With me this week, we have David Dufenberg over here.
That is I.
David took dead last week. Congratulations to him. We have Zach back. Zach hasn't been here for a little over a month, but Zach is back.
Happy to be back.
And we have the man that took 2 weeks off and looks to snap 4 straight third place finishes, Mr. Eric Watkins.
See, I was going to say you missed a golden opportunity in your intro by not referencing the song Basketball, but now that you bring that up, I'm glad that you did.
Let's get right to it as we will get over the rules here. So each of these fine gentlemen will get 3 chances to pick a performance that will make the 24-item bracket. We will figure out who gets to go first here shortly. Points will be given out based on what seed is for that performance. So it's a 14 seed, you get 14 points, but if it doesn't make the bracket, you get absolutely nothing. Before the show, each of these 3 gave me their Final Four and their champion. If their Final Four makes it to the Final Four, they get 2 points. And if their champion goes all the way, they get 5 extra bonus points. Also, there's 1 seed still out there that has never been picked. Every other seed has been picked at least twice. Most of them have been picked by at least 4 different people. But there's one that has never been picked. If you get that one right, you get 3 bonus points. So real quick, look through all the different winners we've had in 20 episodes of the show. Still waiting to get Zach's picture on this leaderboard, but Zach, it's your only second episode, so that's okay there.
I feel like, wasn't it like a 2-point loss last time? It was close.
It was really close to Jesse. But we do have our Mount Rushmore. As Robert and now Sean both have 5 wins. Eric is up there with 3. Harry has 2.
Now, if you were to do a point system that measured both, wins as well as second and third place finishes.
Did you say points?
Sometimes I should just shut up because I know where this is going, and you're doing this on purpose.
However, this is just based on the points that you've scored in an episode, not the tier system that you're talking about. But just to let everybody know, in 5th, Jesse has 131 points. You go all the way up to 4th with Harry with 299. Eric is down in 3rd now at 346, 1 point behind Robert Hagan. But last week, we got a new leader, Sean Garmer at 367. So,
okay, I know the
Eric,
number. Like
Eric
cricket,
needs
I know what I'm
22.
chasing. I know what I'm chasing. Game on.
Jesse screened by me.
Yeah. It was David who is in that 5th spot last week. He no longer is in that spot. So let's go ahead and figure out who.
Reggie Miller in the background for me.
He gets to go first. Eric wanted the 1 pick. Did he get it? Not even close. Zach will be our first pick. our second pick, as the wheel has a seizure over here. Oh, Eric will get the second pick. So we'll see if his pick is still out there or not. And then David
disgraced the 3-hole last week.
The third pick. Yep. One of the rare times the third pick finished third last week. All right, Zach. As I move things back around here, I'll add that back in. Zach, you're the first pick.
Yep, I'm going with what I think will be the deepest cut in the whole thing, and that's only because the guy did not. It's the only person I thought of who didn't actually win the series that they were in. That was like the first criteria for me to make someone not eligible for this list. But I think maybe if I'm trying to play your game and figure out who you put at the end of this list, I'm going to go with 2020 Jimmy Butler against the Lakers, and it's going to be Game 3. It's known as one of the best individual performances in NBA Finals history. So I'm hoping it's like the very back of your list here.
I have learned that I have, with all the different information here, I'm going to have to mess around with some stuff to make them fit. But there you go. Jimmy Butler, Game 3, 2020. I love that we're now over 20 episodes into the show, and the meta game is, how did Randy screw this up? I like it. I like it. Eric, you said you had one in mind. Did he take it?
No, he did not. This is probably going to backfire in some ways, but to redeem myself and hopefully earn myself a baseball helmet full of ice cream, if you know, you know, the famous flu game, Michael Jordan.
That was
97.
97?
Game 5.
Game 5.
Top of my list, gone. That was the top of my draft board. So the least deep cut, but still probably a good deep cut because it's not the best Jordan game.
All right, dude.
Not the most talked about game, and it might be a really high seed, but Tim Duncan, Game 6, 03.
Oh, that was on my big board.
Number 2 on my board. Number 2 on my board. 1, 2 back to back, and I had the first pick.
All right, you got one more.
And we'll have to go with this Michael Jordan guy.
Jordan.
Game 4 against the Suns, 93.
1993. I like to see
There's
it.
like
Eric.
3 games in that series that could have made this.
I'm going old school with this one, but not quite deep cuts on my big board old school, because I think, knowing you're loving a little bit of the history of the NBA, even though it was probably going to be before that, this did come up often, but knowing you, this is probably going to be lower where it should be and give me some more points. Magic himself, breaking on the scene, Game 6, 1980.
All right. Back to Zach.
I get 2 in a row, so I guess this doesn't.
2.
I'm just going to take the only other 2 that I wrote down on my board of 5. I'm going to go with Shaq 2002, Game 2 against the Nets. You could have taken either Game 2 or Game 4 from that series because he just was an absolute monster overall.
Yep, 02.
2002. 40 points, 12 rebounds. I once again could have picked Game 4, but super deep cut because the Nets were not good that year, but dominant nonetheless. And then for my final pick, let's go with Game 6, Dwayne Wade against the Mavs, 2006. Could be high on your board depending on who you look at, but I don't know. Dwayne Wade's always a deep cut to me.
Okay. Eric?
While I did speak with you, Randy, about one specific game, and if you got to see my big board, so you know what game I'm talking about, I'm not going there with this one. Another potential deep cut, but it's significant because that was a very significant postseason run entirely for the winning team that year. The answer, AI, Game 1, 2001.
2001.
They were one
Okay.
game. They gave me
And-
hope. And I gotta stick with 06 also, but I'll do Game 3 for Dwayne Wade.
Wade. Could they both make it? We will.
I like how they call that the 6-game sweep.
I will say, I love that multiple times during this drafting process, I heard knowing you or trying to get into your head or trying to figure you out. Eric on a recent R&R Sports Report had brought up the idea of me and themes. Themes definitely played a huge role in the matchups in this one. So the seeding is a bit weird.
See?
But it is because I wanted the fun matchups. Okay?
Well, there goes my strategy.
That's what I'm hoping for. I don't want any strategy. So let's start it off with your first bracket
I think
and
we
your
talked hockey more
13
than
seed.
basketball.
Michael Jordan winning his final championship, Game 6. Yeah, what was it, 98?
Yep, 98, The Last Dance. Wonderful documentary series, by the way.
Or your 20 seed, Game 4, 1993 against the Suns, David.
That's a
20
big one.
points right off the bat. Had to
That's
get
more
some
than I
Michael
scored last
Jordan in
episode.
here. It's true. And then I've been working on this. There you go. There's your head-to-head to help you be able to see it a bit easier. Which one moves on? Everybody got their answer? Which Michael Jordan performance moves on? 98, 93, Game 6. You're getting sneaky over here with trying to make remember which game was which.
I mean, if you know your Jay-Z song lyrics, you would know that it's Game 6, 98. Come on now.
Well, obviously, look at me. Do I know that stuff? No.
That's why I'm here.
So,
Throw your diamonds in the sky,
the
Randy.
final game wins out. Thoughts on these two Michael Jordan performances, people?
Well, Game 6 wasn't the most. I think of the wrong game. We had Game 3. I think was a more important game because obviously massive points. That series was nuts, but Game 6 was more important to me. His last series, and hoping it wasn't the end, but his Wizards run kind of extended that a little bit.
We
sadly.
don't need to talk about that. Zach, you went with the Suns series. Talk about that for a second.
I just thought it was one of his greatest performances of all time. I understand the picking of the Last Dance game because of like a lot of people thought they were running on fumes and they still were able to get it done. Specifically, he was able to get it done. But I'm thinking of like prime Jordan, and I personally thought the Suns were a tougher matchup, so I picked the Suns.
Well, Eric, your thoughts?
I think
Go ahead.
neither's bad.
Yeah,
Oh, and I was just going to say there's no wrong choice with any of the Jordan games.
Yeah, and while I agree that the Suns were a little bit tougher matchup, I mean, Barkley, Thunder Dan Marley, I get that. But knowing that another duo in Malone and Stockton still trying to break down to get their first ring, knowing that everything is like, all right, we beat Chicago, we end the dynasty and everything else. Although, had they gotten the band back together for that shortened season 98-99, but we won't talk about that. That was just the culmination, the shot, the call, everything that built into that. Not quite Willis Reed, just known for the last shot and everything else, but putting together the whole performance behind it leading up to that. Chef's kiss. Sorry.
All right, so Jordan moves on, beating Jordan. Congratulations to Michael Jordan. But let's just continue on with this top part of this upper bracket. I told you I have themes, guys. Your 14. The old flu game. Michael Jordan.
I knew that this was going to potentially backfire.
4 points for Eric. Congratulations there. But which one's better? 6 championship shot or the flu game?
Oh man,
Damn
the
you,
perfect
Rancid.
picture you could have picked for the flu game.
Yeah, I had some fun with it.
Damn you, Rancid. At least this time I can yell at you, unlike on my last appearance.
That's true. It's not a 7-year-old's fault this time.
No.
Everybody got your answer? Which Jordan one moves on?
I just wrote down 98.
The flu game moves
Being
on. Zach,
contradicting today.
Zach, I think this is what happened the first time you were on. You kept getting bullied.
No, it was Jesse who did it the last time that I was on. Jesse was like the opposite of me and Eric every time, from what I remember. Or maybe it was Eric that was the opposite of me and Jesse every time. Either way, I was on the side that was the majority most of the time. I thought they made good points on the last one. They won me over with their argument, and then all of a sudden they jumped ship.
Eric, why'd you go flu game?
I mean, think about it. All of the conspiracies and everything else, even for that 98 series, but with this, yes, even though you had Pippen in the crew, it was all Jordan. Everything they talked about. Oh, he was sick and this and that. How could they perform without him? What's Phil Jackson going to do? And then he decides, you know what? Look, I'm running a fever. I'm looking like crap on the bench. I'm still going to go out and destroy some dreams and go on and win another title. Just, I don't care.
Anybody buy the story now from Jordan that it wasn't a flu, it was food poisoning?
No.
What? You think Jordan like exaggerates stories?
I mean, hey, he saw that and he just said that was it. He took it personally.
Yeah, like that one story they say they made up when they played like the Bullets back to back, and he said someone said something to him, and everyone's like, "No, he didn't say that. He just made it up so he can get pissed and do bad."
Oh yeah,
but it kind of made him cool. Makes him a psychopath, but he's also cool.
Real quick, these are the only Michael Jordan ones that are on this bracket. I put them all together because themes are fun. The one that I almost put on there, and if I wanted to spread things out a bit further, I was going to, his 3-point performance against the Portland Trailblazers in '92, where he did the shrug game. That one nearly made it. I just remember that moment, but it did not make it. Said it a couple times. I'll say it again. I love my themes, especially when it comes to these kind of episodes where I can't really fully figure out where I want to see things. So I just go for the themes. What is the biggest theme, the biggest debate?
We got LeBron James coming up.
Yeah.
Of course.
We're going with it. So
I had a couple.
LeBron
Does he get a whole bracket?
I had a couple on my big board. I had a couple of his.
We're going to decide Jordan or LeBron James in this quadrant. We'll just say that.
I need to take my
but
fandom
2015 game 2, or how about 2013 game 6? Which LeBron James performance moves on? I told you the seating got all goofy because of this.
This is why I said in my draft I was going for it. The Rancid hits me again.
Yeah, always. Then I have to full screen you guys so I can actually see what you guys wrote. I have you in a corner here because I have all these different screens going on. But to actually see the results, I have to do this. Which LeBron performance was better? Let's see. A clean sweep for 2013. Both were triple doubles. You went with the one that was with the fewer points. But why did you go with the one in 2013, David?
they won that series. So it mattered a little bit more to me. Like that game 2 performance was nuts. And it was just like, I don't hate LeBron. The dude is a freak of nature, but ESPN ruins athletes for me. And this was at a time period where I was just like, okay, LeBron's good. Shut up. And I was afraid that they were going to beat the Warriors that year, the next year. But it was like 13 was crazy times. Loved him in that era. Like that Heat team was disgustingly good. Like when the Spurs actually beat them the next year, it was just proved more to Duncan to me also, but that's beside the point. But yeah, it was just crazy performance, super clutch.
Zach, any thoughts real quick before we figure out the other LeBron?
Yeah, obviously I was crying that entire series, especially Game 6. My least favorite game in the history of basketball, but because of that, I have to respect them. And I don't think they were the better team in that series. By the way, they were. I don't know. The Spurs were better both years and should have both championships. Still salty about it, but he found a way to pull it out, which is why I think it's so iconic, because they were not the better team. Bosh was already not Bosh. Wade was already not Wade, but LeBron was still LeBron and still heading in an upward trajectory. So
yeah,
credit to him.
Zach, I totally get your feelings about a game, just crushing your hopes and dreams and it really sticking with you. I still hear Smith stopped again in my head many times because of the Knicks once again losing to the Bulls way back in the day, and because we couldn't get one basket in. But anyways.
But yeah, LeBron's actually lucky because I hate Ray Allen because of that game, not because of him. So
all right. But is that LeBron performance better than this LeBron performance in 2016, Game 7 against the Warriors? Obviously, that iconic block late in that game. Which one moves on? All right. Everybody have your answer. See them. Got a Game 7. We got a Game
7.
5.
I don't know how to.
Oh, you meant 7? Okay.
Yeah, Game 7. It's a clean sweep.
Yeah.
2016.
Duke's just throwing out different random games.
Yeah, if you're paying attention.
Eric, talk about Game 7 and that ridiculous block.
The ridiculous block, setting up like a Kyrie Irving's moment, everything. It was all about LeBron coming home, finally winning a title. The Warriors trying to be the best overall single season team of all time. I'm running through the house at the end of that game. Nearly got me fired from a freelance job that I was working. It was just crazy. I'm like, it's not that I didn't necessarily like the Warriors. I loved the Cleveland story better. And for LeBron to come up like that with that block off Iggy sealed it for me.
All right. You know what that means. Only one can move on to the Final Four. Who is better, LeBron or Michael? We settle it here on Bad Brackets. No more debates ever.
Yeah.
Of who is the greatest of all time. Based
Stephen
on
A.
one
watching
performance each. Only one goes on.
I'm glad this is how it's being done because it's like the most tired talking heads debate of all time. And so to end it by just it's the block game versus the flu game.
Yes. And also I made sure this was the first quadrant, so we just got it out of the way. And then we can focus on other people. It's calculated. It might be a bad bracket.
My heart's already broken. I actually might finish this entire thing with 0 points. I just did the math in my head. So no, I think I have 1. I'm gonna get 1.
We'll see. Let's go with.
Whoop! I just showed a bit.
All right, everyone's just going. All right, just go for it.
See, I knew you didn't even have to give me the.
We have the one veteran down here. Everyone just goes crazy, but you are the tiebreaker too. Jordan moves on. Get the LeBron lovers out of here.
And
Jordan
yes,
into
that
the
is
Final
my
Four.
handle on X at Squid Sports Head. Come at me. Come at me.
I have one thing to say about not Jordan. We talked enough about him, and we're going to get to talk about him more, I'm sure, at some point. But on the LeBron side, that's not even his best game of that series. The game before was his best game of the series. Game 6 was like his iconic moment. Game 7's probably Kyrie's. Like, I get that he had the block, but yeah, that's
Yeah, the
I don't
block
know.
was
It
the
was-
main reason why that one.
Yeah.
you
for
picked
me-
a moment. I get why you did it, but it wasn't even his best game. I'm butthurt also because of my.
And actually, there
Hey.
was a website that I found that graded them in some weird analytical way.
Yeah,
That
I
did
found a
help me
couple.
pick a few of the games that ended up on this bracket. Not all
well,
of them.
Game
by
6,
any
LeBron
means.
is number 1 on the ESPN point system. Not that their point system is any better than anyone else's, but
And look, for anybody out there who's watching who happens to disagree with either myself or Zach, that's absolutely fine. Put your takes in the comments. And while you're there, like
Oh,
and
yeah.
subscribe, ring the bell, do all of those things.
I gotta say
We
some words on
appreciate
this
you.
one though, because this was I am not on Team LeBron at all.
Mhm.
I'm definitely Team Jordan, but like for this, I love seeing history. I love that Warriors team. I'm a very fair weather fan for NBA because obviously Portland is as local as it gets for us. But I follow players like I love Curry, I love Thompson. I thought this was going to be like witnessing history again because I love that
Mhm.
72-win Bulls team, and everything just fell into place for Cleveland in that series. Draymond being Draymond, and it just I still haven't watched that Believe Land 30 for 30 because this game pissed me off. It was clutch LeBron still, and it was an amazing performance that I hate admitting being a Jordan fan, but it was something to see. It just felt like destiny, like personified. It was a crazy script that happened in real life.
And again, a 3-1 lead.
Yeah,
Let's not forget that. 3-1 lead.
Warriors blew a 3-1 lead.
So David with a 20-4-0 lead after our first quadrant. Jordan and James are done. Let's get to some other performances as we move on. Your next theme. How about your 16 seed? Good old James Worthy all the way back in 1988
Damn it, that was on my big board.
I almost picked that one too.
against your 17 seed Kobe Bryant. In 2009, in game number 1, which Laker moment was better?
Yeah, I'm not showing you my big board next time. I'm just
My
not.
bracket was
I
locked.
feel called out on this, sir. I feel it in my bones.
What's wrong? What's wrong with what happened here?
So many ones that I could have picked, and I would have just been cruising in points by now. But oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, you picked a flu game. You knew that was going to be way up there.
yes, because I was going for a specific plan. I had a specific target of that in mind, and you couldn't even get that right.
You and I are going to have to talk after this episode. But right now, which one moves on? Worthy moves on over Kobe Bryant. Thoughts? Anybody?
Yeah, like from what I obviously I might have watched this game when I was 5, but James Worthy, obviously he was a great player, but he had the best game of his entire life in Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
This was his first triple
Game
double,
7.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe so, and it's just
it's a
nuts.
Game 7. I mean,
And not to mention, if you look at that time frame with the Lakers, they went up against the Pistons in that series. The Celtics had started their downslide. The Bulls with Jordan were coming up. They were trying to cement themselves as really the team going through that decade. Pistons obviously got their hint of revenge with the bad boys the next couple of years, but they were like, all right, the Celtics may not be here. That rivalry may be down on the downswing, but we're right here in the forum. You still have to come at us.
For sure. All right. So, James Worthy is the best Lakers performance so far. But is it better Then Eric's draft pick. The number one seed.
Yo!
I think Eric believed that this is bonus points. It is not bonus points for the number one seed. I started to, once you saw what Eric was drafting, when he was drafting this way, I started to think maybe he was going this route. The one seed has been picked one time before, and Eric, you were on this episode during the Super Bowl moments. Super Bowl moments, Harry took David Tyree's helmet catch.
That's right.
It actually has been picked 3 times.
Yeah, because it was picked on the Capcom episode too, with Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2, Scott picked it. And another episode that Eric was on, Jason, during our golf episode, took Pine Valley, which was the number one seed.
You know, folks, feel free in the comments if you have any lovely suggestions on what to do throughout places in Idaho, Boise, or what have you, because I might be taking a tour through the wonderful potato state here in the coming months.
I talked last week in the episode that I was thinking about revealing the seed because nobody could ever hit it. While talking about it with these 3 before we started this episode, Eric went, "No, I know what it is. Don't tell anybody." So I would have revealed the seed, and Eric would have then realized his mistake. But no, he got a little cocky and thought he knew, and he didn't know. And just for that, I'm not going to reveal it until next episode.
Yes, it's bullcrap.
Why? Because that's your hint. Next episode is your hint as to what seed it is. What episode is next episode?
Yeah.
Yes. All revealed now. But which one moves on? This episode is going to be 2 hours long, and I love it.
Hatred, just. Oh.
We got one for Magic. There's the one for Magic. There's Magic. Magic all the way. No surprise. What a fantastic performance for a guy playing out of his position.
Well, not to mention the fact that if you look at the whole strategy, yes, it wasn't entirely Westhead's idea because, he was still like the assistant, but had taken over after the bike accident, but very revolutionary at the time. Magic obviously up for it, going against Dr. J. What a way to finish your rookie season. That performance in Philly at the Spectrum, capping off a title.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like in basketball, it's pretty hard to switch positions because like in baseball, you can move. Like if Aaron Judge needed to play first base, you could probably stick him there. Mm-hmm. It'd be like sticking Wayne Gretzky into goalie. I mean, it's not hard to do in basketball. And he did it and absolutely dominated. It's disgusting.
It was hard to do in basketball at the time. Now with how
everyone's 6'7".
Every center is a freak athlete now, and they can all handle the basketball, and a lot's changed. But like then, it was absolutely unheard of. And the fact that like this is just the beginning for him, right? To come out with this big of a bang, and then they win 4 more championships after this.
So
impressive.
Themes are fun. We figured out the best Laker.
This is the all Celtic pod, isn't it?
No, Celtics would have been fun.
Warriors?
But we went with the Miami Heat. Which is fun because there are 3 Heat performances that have been drafted. There are 3 Heat performances in this quadrant. Were all 3 of them here? Let's find out. As your 9 seed is Jimmy Butler in Game 3 of 2020. So 9 points for Zach. He went with a better performance. He could have got so many more points if he went with Game 5 of Jimmy Butler. Which Jimmy Butler performance was better?
I think we know which one's better, but Dang it on the pick on my end though.
Well, I've lost hope for the rest of the episode now, so.
But while you guys write down your answer here, because I don't think there's going to be much drama. The drama comes with the next pick, because there are 2 Dwayne Wade picks.
Was that
One of
LeBron
them made
James
the
again?
bracket. No, it's Dwayne Wade. I'll say it right now. Dwayne Wade's in the second round, but you and Zach picked different games. Only one of them made the bracket.
Solid.
Like I said, I have lost hope.
I thought Capcom might have been my favorite episode. Just the amount of pissed offness that I'm getting from people is.
I wonder why.
I'm flustered. I'm flustered because
After my last episode,
I know this means Timmy didn't make it. I can already say that I know this means Giannis didn't make it. So I'm losing my mind over here because I'm like every single person, whether I someone I drafted on my big board or someone I sent you, is just not in this.
I love to fluster people. We're not even halfway through.
And if he went that deep,
Game 3
on my big board.
Oh, Game 5. Whoa. Why Game 5?
Game 3 was a good setup. It wasn't even the amuse-bouche. It was the first course. Game 5, especially to my eyes, was the main course after that. Because, yes, you could go off or you're setting everything and under those conditions. Can you go ahead deeper in the series, pull that off again? He did in spades.
I will say both of these performances made it mostly because of that site that I found that had created a bunch of these performances and stuff. They really loved these 2 games from Jimmy Butler. Obviously, COVID stuff. They did not win this series, right? The Lakers won.
No.
In 2020.
No, but, like it just shows like him that this particular year in particular, and then even like last year, it just shows that like the impact Jimmy Butler can have on winning basketball games. Something the Sixers did not take into account when they let him go to Miami. So,
pretty wild. I don't know. Pretty wild. All right.
They didn't trust the process.
So I will tell you, the 8 seed is Dwayne Wade. It is from 2006. David said Game 3. Zach said Game 6.
Wants to be like Game 5.
It's Game 1. No, I don't know. It is Game 3. Game 3 made the bracket, not Game 6. Zach will never be on another show.
Yeah, to me, like I get either game, but any game later in the series to me is a bigger performance than a game that's earlier in the series. So that's how I made all my lists. Like that's the reason when you threw out a Game 1 Kobe, no one picked it. Later in the series is always going to be, and it's relatively the same type of game.
All I'm saying is, again, if one of my last 3 entries on my big board, the deepest of deep cuts, even though the historians, they shouldn't be, if they made it, there might be some crowdfunding going on.
Once again, I will reiterate, I have these brackets done before I ever ask for.
You told me like a month ago, I think.
Yeah, I've had this locked in for a bit. Which is why I haven't even started talking to you guys about the episodes after this, because this was my get through everything before the NAIA World Series, and then everything is post NAIA World Series. So I haven't even asked about that.
It's going to be a nightmare.
It is. That is the next episode. We'll talk about that in a second. But which one here moves on? Butler or Wade? D Wade all day long.
Like, I understand the criteria of the late games because that's a lot of mine too. But when you're down 0-2, when you do this, it was a series changer because I was.
That's a great point.
Like Dallas, I thought had it. Dirk was just a secret weapon of 7 foot tall with range, the cheat code. I thought they were gonna finally win it, and obviously doesn't relate to this. I'm just surprised when Dallas won it when they did, but yeah, this was a nuts performance, and it set the tone the rest of the series.
It is interesting that Dallas still ended up getting one against Miami.
Just not that one.
Dirk still got his, but yeah, I mean, Wade over Jimmy. One guy won a series, one guy didn't. So
yeah, totally fair. All right, who joins Michael Jordan in the Final Four? Magic or Dwayne?
More than doubled my point total already, haven't I?
Look at you go.
I'm still on for the chase, but those hopes go straight down the drain if AI doesn't make it, which I'm prepared to flush this in the toilet.
Well, there's 12 picks that I couldn't do, and I picked 2 of them. And this one, there's infinite, and I've picked 2 of them already.
Absolutely. All right. Which one makes the Final Four? Let's hold on. It might be a clean sweep, to be honest. Zach?
Is it?
Ooh. David? All right, Eric. Break the tie. Again.
It's winning time, baby.
Yeah. Surprise, Zach. Why'd you go Wade over Magic?
Supporting cast. Who was Wade's second best player? Borderline retired Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
It's fair. That's totally fair.
I mean, Shaq actually played for like 6 more teams after this, but
I'm about to say
somehow ended up being a Sun, a Celtic, a Cavalier.
Yeah, after Shaq, I'm really struggling to think of another player on that team.
Udonis Haslem, Michael Doliak. I used to be a Christian Leitner, possibly. I used to be able to remember their entire second unit better than their first unit. Alonzo Mourning might have been on that second unit as well.
Zoe was still playing.
Yeah. Because at the victory parade, the celebration, Shaq was like, Udo Mas! Udo Mas!
So as you saw there, David with the big lead, 28 points, 9 for Zach, and 5 for Eric, as Magic Johnson does move on. Please hold while I get the next people on the board. And all right. So let's move on to the third quadrant here. And now that I have you all flustered, let's have some more fun, shall we?
You're going basketball now? The beers and the felons?
How about?
Hey, now, the Los Angeles Riots deserve to get to that Denslow Cup.
About Charles Barkley in a losing effort, because Michael Jordan was just insane. Barkley had a great series in 93. We had game 3 for this one. And a losing effort, Allen Iverson. Game 1, 2001, 19 points for Eric.
I feel
think you know, you don't know.
I feel redeemed.
Just like that, it's a 4-point game.
And in the words of Kevin Garnett, anything is possible.
Kevin Garnett, not in this bracket. Spoilers.
He was one of my favorites. A little big of a
Gotta
dick
love
he
the
was.
big ticket. Gotta love the big ticket.
All right. Iverson or Barkley, who goes on?
The round man of rebound, guys.
Hear me out. Hear me out. As good as the round mound of rebound was, especially with that Suns team and in that series, we know what the Bulls were capable of, and in their peak, what was their first three-peat dynasty. This was, you could argue, the all-time, the most recent Lakers dynasty under Phil Jackson, because I said at the beginning of the show, when I made this pick, that performance spoiled even bigger history. The Lakers that postseason went 15-1. 15 because the first round was still a best of 5. This was the one out of nowhere.
Yeah, I actually had faith Philly would win this series because I really liked AI. And I was also a stupid high school kid too, I guess, thinking they'd actually win it still. But
Correct me if I'm wrong. They went the distance against Toronto in the Eastern Conference Finals?
might have been either them or it might have even been the Nets also. But it was, yeah, I thought, and also even younger kid, like Barkley, I hated him because he was going against Jordan, so by default. But it was I remember thinking, oh my God, the Bulls might actually lose. And just distraught, thinking, oh my God, I don't want to go to school again in the fall and have to talk about Jordan losing. But yeah, the AI performance was nuts. And yeah, they were the Brock Lesnar of that
Oh,
game.
no, I agree that they are both nuts. I will say AI is the only person at this time period that wasn't a Spur that I liked. But yeah, I guess I didn't. In my head, the 4-1 series, I didn't really think about the 15-1 overall thing, and I think that's a great point. I think that's a good reason to say, like, sure. To me, I was looking at it as they only won this one game, and they were extremely outmatched. And someone's got to score those points because no one else on that team was. But I think that's a way better way to look at it. Is he lifted them to beating the Lakers, and no one else could do it the entire postseason. So that's a great point.
Totally fair. Let's move on to our next matchup. Your 11th seed. About Kevin Durant in 2018 Game 3. Or Kevin Durant in Game 5 of 2017. Which Durant performance was better?
For the record, I don't like either of these.
I used to love Durant, and then he turned
Me
into
too. He was
pissy boy
before he went there.
Well, unfortunately, you got to pick him at least once.
From right around for my family's stomping grounds in the DMV. So a couple ties in that way, but it just
All right, which Durant performance moves on? Game 5. Zach, you're the only one that goes 18. Why'd you go 18?
Clean sweep that year, man. Right? That's the year they swept them.
Yeah, they swept them, but at the same time, look at that season prior, and with Durant and his some famous, some infamous, some would call it Wanderlust, some call it ring chasing, how he got to the Warriors and why he was there to begin with. So it's like, yes, this isn't just I'm gonna hang back for this super team and go ahead and collect rings. It's I've still got something I can do here as well.
2017 is the year that Zaza landed on Kawhi Leonard's leg, and they shouldn't have been in the finals in the first place. So it's, if you guys really want to know the truth, the Spurs were up 27 points in that game 1, and that series was bullshit.
Jack's a Spurs fan. Nobody can tell.
David Robinson was one of my all-time favorites, just so you know.
Hey, David Robinson had a good Sega Genesis basketball game. I have it over there somewhere.
Mad respect for the Admiral.
All right.
One of only 4 players to get the quad double.
Yeah.
Allen Iverson is on to the second round. Let's see who he goes up against, and let's go really old school. How about Elgin Baylor? 61 points and 22 rebounds.
Okay, so
I remember that game.
How bad do I want to go with this? I can go a 4-letter word. I can go a 5-letter word. I can go an 11-letter word.
Oh, ridiculous.
What could I say that could make myself feel better, but potentially not get this video demonetized?
I'm getting really confused as to why you're upset about something.
What did I say earlier about the bottom of my big board. Literally, what did I say?
But
What
this
did I
is the 3
say? What
seed.
was
You had it at the
second
bottom of your big
bottom
board, and it's at
on
the
my
top of this big board. My
board?
big board better than your big board.
Oh,
Bottom of yours, top of mine.
No, if you have that last pick, that last item on my big board, oh,
I don't remember what it is.
We scrapping. We
I don't remember
scrapping.
what it is. You just picked the wrong ones off your big board.
The things that he does. The things that he does. The things I deal with this man.
I don't know what you're whining about. Let's move on. Who's moving?
You guys won me over. Sorry, guys.
That's twice. That is twice that you guys talked him into something and then both bailed.
Anything that happened in 1960, I divide all of those stats by 3. Like, there's no way to equate that to any basketball that we've ever watched.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, yes, from the stats wise, especially with the faster pace, the shot clock, it was only in about its 7th season that year. I entirely understand. But if you look at that Lakers team, they had just made the move out to LA. This was really their first big appearance post George Mikan and their dynasty of winning 5 in 6 years. Elgin Baylor, even though it was that era, went on to hold to be in top 5 and a lot of records and everything. And that set up the Lakers further along in that decade, even though they had a little bit of a lull thanks to, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, and what have you. But Elgin Baylor was saying, yes, I'm that guy as well. Yes, there's a team out here on the West Coast as well.
I bet if there's a 3-point line, he still would have had 61 points.
Right. Eric, what was the last one on your big board?
JoJo White, in what is regarded as the greatest NBA game ever played, Game 5 of the 76 finals, Celtics Suns.
And your 6th seed. No, I've never heard of that game. It is not. Don't worry about that.
Go watch that on YouTube, especially with Brent Musburger on commentary. Legit. It is fantastic.
But no, I had to get one New York Knick in here. They don't have a lot of finals performances, but Walt Frazier, Game 7 of 1970. Kevin Durant or Walt Frazier, who goes to the finals of quadrant number 3? All right, show me who moves on. I knew Zach was going to go for Walt at least because he said he hated Durant. So,
dude, I'm actually back to loving Durant now that he's no longer a Warrior. He's back to being one of my favorite players. But once again, 2017 doesn't matter though. That's all I'm sticking to that. We don't talk
Walt
about
moves
that
on.
here.
That's all that matters, right? Nick,
Nick
has won one.
For the game that was known for Willis Reed at the beginning, yes, coming out, scoring the first basket, Clyde knew what he had to do and took over. Yeah, I mean, besides, for being a fan running the show, your team hasn't won a title since 73. We have to throw you a bone at some point.
I appreciate it. But do you throw out another bone? Which old school game, 62 or 70, joins Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan in our Final Four?
As a Zags fan, it hurts to even look at the word Baylor.
It's the weird things that just trigger you.
Look, after what happened in the latest transfer portal, I'm a bit miffed at Baylor too, but it's business.
Let's see. Let's go with Eric first. He's been our tiebreaker the other 2 rounds, so we'll go with him first. Zach, let me see yours. This stinks. David. All right, you guys got your revenge. You knocked out my Nick. You made me grumpy too.
Trying to push a Nick into the Final Four. I get it.
I almost did. Yeah, I almost did.
Moment, but...
I almost got him in.
Could we put Nick Anderson on this list for his 4 missed free throws against the Rockets. That's one of my favorites still.
All right, we got one quadrant left. David has a 4-point lead. Eric got all of his in. Eric, that does get you in first place all time in points again.
I said I was chasing 21. As soon as I saw AI, I'm good.
So everything is good there. David does have a 4-point lead. He has 1 left on the board. Zach has 2 left. Will he get either of them? Any confidence level from you, Zach, right now?
No.
No?
I don't.
None at all? Zero confidence?
Are you talking about the picks that I sent you or the people that I drafted, right? Because
The
people I
people that
drafted
you
are already
drafted.
screwed.
The people that you drafted.
No.
Because those are the worst.
I think there's 2 people that I sent you that are still going to pop up pretty soon, but that's neither here nor there.
It's possible. Final quadrant. Randy 15 seed. There he is. There's Tim Duncan. Points for Doof. The win for Doof, most likely.
Swish.
And your 18 seed. Zach, I hate to do this to you. It's Shaq.
Oh,
But it's 2000, not 2002.
Deeper on my big board, but also still there.
I think this was the better performance.
I think the stats are almost identical. The other one's 42 and 12, and this one's 41 and 12. So you could go either way.
It's fair. But you were worried Duncan wasn't even going to make it, and he's there.
2 blocks short of the quad.
Yeah, I was gonna say you didn't even put on the 8 blocks, brother. He was about to get that. There's 3 Spurs with a quad double out of the total 5 that have ever happened, and it'll be 4 as soon as Wemby gets one next season.
He's going to.
I will.
He almost got one this year.
Yeah.
I will say Tim Duncan deserves much higher than a 15 seed. But again, going for the clever matchups and having fun there, I wanted to bring this rivalry back in just the way it was the highest I could get it as far as still being able to have this matchup. And I like Shaq's performance as well, too. So it does give Doof 15 points, but I do not personally think it's the 15th best performance. It's much higher.
Again, this is what I was aiming for. I knew some levels of rancidness.
You just aimed off to the side. All right, let's Tim Duncans. Timmy.
Gotta give some love. I
Shaq.
get it.
Pity vote. All right, we get pity votes here, bad brackets. It's okay. Anybody want to talk about it here for a second?
It's a stupid performance. Just gross. Dude, everyone is tired. It's probably their 100th game of the year, and he still pulled that off. It's just nuts. He's the most boring guy to do it, but that's why I love him too.
Well, that's why they call him the big fundamental. He just goes out there, does his stuff, and even around that time when he was at his peak, people looked at me. It's even with some of my family and friends were the way that he walks and runs on the court, you kind of remind me of him. And I'm flattered, but nah.
Yeah, I mean that was a cool Spurs team too. It was they were just getting out of their original championship era, right? They still had the old veterans. They even got Kerr to come back. It was a cool team, but then they also had the newer people that would be around for the next decade on that team. But Tim was just doing this the entire time. You could pick any Tim Duncan game and it's going to be 20 plus points, 10 to 20 rebounds. And he was also the defensive anchor of the team that entire time. So the defensive stuff doesn't even show up. To give Shaq his flowers before this is all over though, that entire 3-year run, it was just him absolutely dominant. There was no one on any team that could guard him. So also super fun to watch. Those were the rivalries, the Lakers Spurs, no matter who won them those years. those are the rivalries that got me into basketball. So
Those
glad you made the bracket.
absolutely playoff time. You turned on to a lot of times TNT because they carried the West in the Western Conference Finals. Those were the games to watch.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Even
Yeah,
Spurs
for
and
sure.
Suns.
And the Spurs Suns was awesome. 2001, I think the Spurs Timberwolves was pretty good too. The last time the Timberwolves were in this position, but yeah. Before there was the Ray Allen shot, there was the Derek Fisher shot. For those who know, so the original heartbreaker of my life.
All right, let's stay here at the top quadrant because the theme was centers. So of course, your 2 seed is Giannis. Giannis or Duncan?
That's
Which
so
one
tough.
moves on? Those were the 2 you were waiting on, Zach. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to pick.
I know. Now I have to kick one of them out.
I know I'm going to get some form of hate either way for my pick. I'm prepared, though.
Let's go there. Zach is still writing.
Yeah, give me a second.
You're good. It's been a fun one. It's been a fun episode.
I agree.
Like this one.
Good memory
No,
lane.
nobody's going to talk to me for the next week, but that's okay.
You can cut it down in post.
There's not a lot to cut down, which is the best part. We've had
Because
some
of
good
the AI
conversation.
pick, it'll only be 3 days for me. It only.
Yeah, I was joking around about having to take breaks so I could change pictures, but you guys are getting in such good debates. I can change it while you guys are talking. It's been great. All right, which one moves on? Wait, hold on. I usually wait for the finals of this, but I'm hoping for something here. So I want to see Eric's first. Now I want to see David. Yes. Zach, you have to eliminate one. Oh, and he eliminated.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Wow.
He eliminates Tim Duncan.
You didn't see that coming, did you? I was trying to be unbiased. I was trying to let Timmy win with those 2. I thought they would both pick him, so I was like,
Look,
I
I
could be
did
the
my
one
part
guy
on that.
who.
I did.
I was trying not to let my bias ruin the bracket. Also, I had both of them in my final 4, so it was like who cares?
My bias could have saved my ass.
Either way, one of the guys was getting eliminated.
I had to bring it, and it worked out beautifully that you had to be the one that eliminated one. 2 really good performances, though. You have to say that.
And all credit to Giannis stepping up like that, bringing the Bucks their first title since Kareem. I mean, anybody was really going to pull them out of that series, he knew he had to.
I feel like they're still celebrating because I still think they should be dominating, but that's
All right.
not the case.
Well, look at what happened to the Bucks after their 71 win. I say no more.
Your final.
See you in 2060.
Your final first round matchup. I haven't seen this guy yet.
I was wondering if we would, yeah.
Steph Curry in 2019 or Steph Curry in 2018. Which Steph Curry game moves on?
I would have liked if you picked a Steph Curry that didn't have Kevin Durant on the team, but
That's fair.
wait,
That's also
2019?
fair.
Well, Iguodala was the MVP one year, though, so.
I actually was, I was going to say there should be some like deep cuts here on like an Andre Iguodala defensive game or a Kawhi Leonard against the Heat defensive game, like before he was like the best player on the team.
To be fair, you would need somebody else to fill out the bracket because basketball is like my 5th favorite sport.
Oh. You still. No. I'm trying to be nice for a while.
Hey, you had to be on the show. So you couldn't make the bracket. You're going to make a bracket soon. Don't worry about it.
Oh.
We'll talk about it.
Okay. Okay.
Which Steph Curry moves on? 19, 19, 18. Zach, you're getting picked on all day long. Why'd you go?
It's
Why'd you go
'cause
18?
they didn't win in 19. Right?
Fair.
They didn't win in 19. That's
It was a great point. Like I thought that I was rooting for the Raptors because I really liked that team, but like the crowd in this game, they just were ballistic, and it was just classic Steph Curry.
Yeah.
And even though they lost the series, and two of the best players in the process too.
Because I mean, with this one, they knew it wasn't entirely the end, but it was going towards the end of this run. Yeah, they did bounce back and everything, but he's like, nah, he was trying to push, drag, carry the Warriors to one more ring. It eventually didn't work, but he's like, no, I gotta go and do Steph things. And
same with Durant's Achilles and
All right. So we got one more to reveal. And I'm so glad that you guys picked Steph Curry in 2019 because this was the other themed matchup I was trying to fit in, but I wanted to get a couple of Curry ones in there. So is Steph Curry in 2019 better than Kawhi Leonard
Let's
in 2019?
oh,
You guys
Of
set
course
it
he
up
wasn't.
beautifully, and thank you for that.
She's got me laughing like Kawhi all of a sudden.
he's a fun guy. The Dan Levitard show played that clip so much. It was hysterical.
It's so good.
Yeah.
But everyone says he's actually hilarious. That's my favorite part about Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, sometimes you just never know at press conferences. It's like Marshawn Lynch never wanted to talk, but then you have him outside of the NFL world, and that's all that guy does is talk.
Yeah, I've seen
Bill
some of
Belichick's
that.
probably
He's
a
like,
riot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Belichick too is another good
That's
example.
what people say. He's really funny too. I think it's just because you're reserved doesn't necessarily mean you're not funny.
and the thing
he
is,
did good on the roast.
yeah, and especially with Marshawn in particular, like he just knows. Like, yes, Radio Row is one persona, but outside of that, commercials, everything else, things with charity, dude, he's
Yeah.
just like he's just like that in those certain moments. That's what makes it even better.
All right. Which one moves on? Kawhi all the way. Won the series, right? Yeah. Won the series, wins this matchup. I guess it makes sense. Thoughts on the Kawhi
It's hard. The thing's hard because, like, of all the stuff they mentioned before, the Warriors didn't have in that series, which I think people have always. But it's Toronto; it's their only championship, and his supporting cast was Pascal Siakam and Lowry, and those guys are good pieces on a good team. But that's the only time they were good pieces on a championship team.
Like I hate the injury argument a lot of the time because, like I said, like Clay got hurt, Durant got hurt. But at the same time, the Raptors stayed healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like people talk about Frank Gore and his 8 million yards. Like, well, he didn't really lead the league in anything. It's like, well, he stayed healthy for 20 years.
Right.
You're doing something right.
I love the injury argument. You know why? Because the Knicks should have been in the NBA Finals. It's not true, but I'm blaming.
They did finish that series with 0 of their 5 starters. That's crazy.
Yeah.
With this most recent series, by the end of the last game, they had nobody left from their regular season starting 5.
They were very beat up. We got one spot left in the Final Four. Fill it. Leonard or Giannis? Let's start with Zach. Yeah. Erik?
You chose wisely.
I think I've nailed it every single time. David, break the tie. Giannis to the Final Four. Erik, last thoughts? on Kawhi's performance?
I mean, former Spur, you can call how he left in everything acrimonious, even though it really wasn't. His own thing saying, yes, I've got the goods to help lead a team to win a title. The first Canadian championship in the NBA. Sorry, Vancouver. You may get another chance with another team at some point, although probably not. I mean, when your first ever draft pick is nicknamed Big Country, you are asking for trouble.
That Ostertag or no, that was
Reeves, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's right, yeah.
I will say quickly on the Kawhi thing, I get asked about it all the time, like if I just dislike him because of him getting out of San Antonio that season. It's like, not at all. I actually never had a negative feeling about it. I think it was one of those things where it was poorly handled on both sides, probably more on like the Spurs training staff side. So it's like he was going to go home. I knew he was going to go to LA a year from then, no matter what. So they tried to at least get something for them. It was a terrible trade. If anyone wants to know what I'm bad about, it's that we decided to trade for Jakob Poeltl and DeMar DeRozan instead of draft picks. But I also love DeMar DeRozan, and I got to watch them live multiple times when they had him. So I was stoked about that. But it was like you knew where you were going, and that was to the play-in game. So
here is your final four: Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Elgin Baylor, and Giannis. Our first matchup: Michael Jordan in the flu game versus Magic Johnson in 1980, which is our first one in the finals. Let's go with David first. Okay, Zach. Yeah, I did it again. Eric, break the tie.
You knew where I was heading with this one.
I actually knew where you and Zach were headed with it, just because I knew Zach was talking about supporting cast for Magic Johnson, so I liked it. Thoughts on this, real quick?
Also, I just want to. I didn't say this earlier, but if you've ever played a sport or lifted weights when you feel like you have to shit your pants, you understand the pain that Michael Jordan was going through.
Sometimes having to go walk to the bathroom and have to shit your pants. That's
if you've ever seen.
Yeah, sometimes I just shit my pants. It's what happens when you get older, and he was.
Look,
at the end of his career.
All I'm going to say is this. If you've ever seen the movie I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell, if you see the one scene with the hotel lobby, I may have accidentally reenacted that on my kitchen floor once. It is a terrible experience.
This episode has taken a weird turn. All right. Who joins the flu game in the championship? Elgin Baylor. Hold on, I gotta see what this is. What do you got here?
Yes!
You said I hope they serve beer in hell.
Yes! Yes! That's coming through. Thank you.
I was also not expecting this episode to also have visual aids like we had on the Capcom episode a couple weeks ago, but here we are.
yeah, Wes had you hooked up there.
Wes was hilarious. I don't have my empty nerds bag anymore. I actually threw that away. All right, Baylor, Giannis, who joins Michael Jordan. Man, I've been so good, but now I'm lost here. Zach, you got yours wrote?
Yeah, I knew all along, but it was still like.
All right, Eric, let me see yours.
Okay.
Okay, Zach, let me see yours. Yeah. You guys are making this fun. David, break the tie. Ooh, Giannis into the finals. Congratulations to him. And therefore, your finals. Michael Jordan and Giannis. And I keep saying I'm going to fix this where I never have to make the adjustment. I never do. There you go.
Are we finally
Jordan?
settling the argument of who's the better basketball player, Giannis or Michael Jordan? Are we
Yeah,
settling that
this
right
will decide this one. This argument that's never happened before. We'll create the argument possibly.
Listen, if there was 5 Giannis's versus 5 Jordans, 5 Giannis's would win the game.
Well, I mean, or even if Giannis, if he has a couple more brothers.
If there was, here's another argument. If there was 5 LeBrons and 5 Jordans, LeBron would win the game.
It'd be interesting. It'd be a lot of fun. Depends on what year the rules were in. But I also hate that argument too because I think LeBron in those 90s rules, it has the size and the build that he would have played a lot different.
Absolutely.
So,
he could have definitely taken that old school physicality back then, which
Michael Jordan.
I mean, besides for the hand checking, all of the rules have reverted back. So
yeah.
I do with the no Western Conference MVP. That was good. All right. Let's go with Zach.
I still undecided. Hold on.
Oh, good. I'm sorry. I'm still starting with Zach once he writes it down.
Okay. I'm not going to pick. I wouldn't be able to let
anybody else's either. David, let me see yours. Yeah. Eric, clean sweep.
Clean sweep.
Clean sweep.
You knew it.
I thought it was going to be the flu game versus LeBron's Game 7 in the final, not the final of a bracket.
I had to have some fun with it. That's for sure. Okay, hold on one second. Let me add this up.
They had LeBron's Game 7 winning it all.
Yeah, he did.
I hated it.
Let's see.
Till Randy, I vomited when I sent it to him.
Yeah, you almost got put on the couch.
My wife hates Russell Westbrook with all of her heart, though, so she's glad I didn't pick anything of his. Not that he had a chance.
I used to really hate him, and I'm a pretty huge fan. The twilight of everyone's career, I just flip-flopped so hard. The last couple of years of Kobe, I was diehard Kobe. Steve Nash at the end, diehard Steve Nash. Hated Steve Nash during all of the Mavs Spurs or Sun Spurs games.
Oh.
But
all right, so we got our winner. Here is what you guys put for your Final Fours and your champions. 3 different champions, 2 different players. Zach actually went with the game against Phoenix for his finals.
Yeah, and I didn't even get it past the first round.
No,
didn't even get it past the.
I will say all of your picks, it was a good mix, but they all ended up on the bracket at least. Sometimes that becomes a bit of an issue. I was surprised nobody went with the shrug game from Jordan. I was so close to putting it in there, but I only wanted to pick spots.
What's funny is I was torn between the Suns game and the shrug game. I never even considered the flu until I ended up passing along with everybody else to the finals. But I just thought the other 2 games were better, but now I'm just thinking about him fighting diarrhea the entire time.
Yeah, the flu game is so iconic for the stuff that he went through. But yeah, I'm a little disappointed the shrug game does not get in. But again, just the way I wanted to shift the bracket, it kind of got the shaft. But there you go, David. I think you passed Jesse again to get back into the top 5 with this performance, sir. 49 points for the win. Zach was so close on 2 of his. I'm with you. Shaq, you could have picked so many different games from that 3-year period. We just didn't get the right one. And we went with Wade in game 3 instead of game 6. But there you go. David gets the win. That is his second win. So he is trying to knock Harry off of that Mount Rushmore there. Also, congratulations to Eric. Snaps a 4-show streak of getting in last place. So
my streak ends. Yes, I know. Had I drafted a little bit differently, I could have won. But hey, second place, all-time points leader again, as it should be. That's a good way.
And Eric will have a chance to increase that points lead next week. David with a chance to get on to the Mount Rushmore next week. Robert Hagan will also be here next week as we do the 1980s comedy movies. We did the 90s. We talked about so many movies that just missed the cut because they came out too soon. So we had to quickly get into the 80s. That bracket is going to be brutal. Nobody talked to me about it for 2 days while I try to get that bracket put together. So you guys don't get mad at me for saying you influenced anything, because I have not done that one yet. I'm afraid to do it. But that is next week. And also a hint as to what the one seed that has never been picked before is that episode. So there you go. That will do it. David gets his 3rd win. Congratulations to him. Second win. Sorry. Spoilers for next week. David's going to win.
Sweet.
Hey, as long as I get another second place,
I knew it was rigged.
Fine by me. Fine by me.
I forgot to look at the right script. I'm sorry. I have the wrong script in front of me.
Hey, you need to talk to Tom Grossi about your scriptwriter skills, okay?
Good luck to whatever teams are in the NBA Finals. Again, we're recording this 2 weeks early to allow myself to live at a baseball field for 10 days. So appreciate you guys for hopping on when you were able to do so. But that is it for this week. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Get into these arguments. They're fun. We have so much fun on these shows. And I hope if you made it all the way through that you enjoyed it as well. In the comments down below, give us your ideas for other Bad Bracket episodes. We continue to fill out the schedule. We're having a lot of fun just trying different topics to see which ones can create these debates. And in the last 3 weeks, we've done sports, wrestling, and video games, and each of them brought their own variety of arguments, and I loved each one. So until next Monday, don't forget, good brackets don't last forever, but bad brackets do.